The first heatwave of summer didn't arrive quietly, it came like a slap to the face. Asphalt shimmered, AC units wheezed in protest, and Maya felt like she was being slow-cooked in her own skin. The city was a furnace, the air thick enough to chew, and even the birds seemed to give up by noon. She had woken up sweating, drank water that was warm straight from the tap, and by 10 a.m., she declared she would either find a pool or spontaneously combust. There was no in-between. Luckily, salvation came in the form of a text from Lisa, her old college friend turned occasional partner in crime. Greater than, quiet pool near my cousin's place. Nobody monitors it. Come through. It was casual, vague, tempting. Maya didn't ask questions, just threw on her favorite swimsuit, tossed a towel into a tote bag, grabbed her sunglasses, and practically sprinted out the door. The sun was punishing, but the promise of cool, blue water was enough to keep her motivated. By 11:45, she was stepping through the unguarded gate of a tucked-away neighborhood pool nestled inside a leafy suburb called Maple Ridge Estates. It looked like something out of a brochure: clean tile edges, shady loungers, a soft breeze rustling through neatly trimmed hedges. Most importantly, it was quiet. By noon, she was floating in absolute bliss. Her body stretched out on a neon pink floaty, earbuds tucked in with lo-fi music humming softly, and the sun warming her face without overwhelming her thanks to a layer of SPF 50 she'd slathered on in the car. It was perfect, a temporary escape from the world, the stress, the emails, the noise. Maya allowed herself to believe, for a moment, that she belonged there, that she could belong there. And then, like all good things that come too easily, it ended. The voice arrived without warning. Sharp, nasal, the verbal equivalent of nails on a chalkboard and a rake scraping pavement at the same time. Young lady, that pool is for residents only. Name and address, now. Maya jolted upright, water sloshing around her as she blinked against the sunlight. Standing at the edge of the pool was a woman dressed like an authoritarian summer storm. Her visor sat like a crown of judgment over a mop of tightly curled blonde hair. Her sunglasses were the size of small saucers. In one hand, she held a clipboard. In the other, a pen. Her whole posture radiated the energy of someone who had appointed herself the sheriff of a town that didn't need one. Maya took out one earbud, momentarily convinced this was a prank. Excuse me. The woman stepped forward with the deliberate menace of someone who had memorized every clause in a homeowners association manual and lived to enforce them. This pool is private. Maple Ridge Estates residents only. I don't recognize you. Who are you visiting? Maya sat up straighter on the float, awkwardly aware that she now looked like a startled otter. I was invited, she said slowly, trying to remember Lisa's cousin's last name. By my friend, Lisa. Her cousin lives here. Karen, and there was no doubt in Maya's mind that this woman's name was Karen, sniffed disapprovingly. Name and address. And don't even think about lying. We have cameras. Maya blinked. Wait, really? Karen clicked her pen aggressively, writing something on the clipboard with the flair of someone who thought this would be presented as evidence in a future trial. I've asked nicely. Now you're being evasive. That's trespassing and suspicious behavior. Maya swung her legs into the water, the float bumping awkwardly away from her. Look, I was just here to cool off. Lisa said. Don't make it worse, Karen snapped, stepping back and flipping the clipboard shut like it was a police badge. You'll be hearing from the HOA board. Maya, still dripping wet and utterly baffled, stood in the shallow end and stared. You're serious? Karen didn't answer. She turned on her heel, marching away with purpose, sandals flapping against the concrete. As she disappeared around the corner, Maya could have sworn she heard the unmistakable sound of a phone dialing. Probably the police, or maybe the neighborhood's emergency pool compliance hotline, if such a ridiculous thing existed. Maya stood there for a few seconds longer, stunned into silence. She had expected sunburn, maybe a bug bite. She had not expected to be interrogated like a criminal for floating in 3 feet of water. Slowly, she climbed out of the pool, wrapped herself in a towel, and picked up her bag. The perfect summer escape had evaporated into heat and chlorine-soaked confusion. On her way out, she passed a sign near the front gate she hadn't noticed before. Greater than private pool, for use by Maple Ridge residents only. Violators will be reported. Underneath it, someone had scribbled in faded Sharpie, Karen lives here. Of course she did. As Maya walked back to her car, the sun now less comforting and more mocking, she made herself a promise: this wasn't over. Not because she needed to swim again, but because she wasn't about to let a woman with a laminated clipboard and a superiority complex ruin her afternoon. Karen had picked the wrong floaty-loving stranger to mess with, and Maya had a group chat with receipts. 2 mornings after the pool incident, Maya stepped outside to check her mail and immediately froze. Zip-tied, yes, zip-tied, to the handle of her mailbox was a laminated notice printed in Comic Sans, of all things. The top read, "Violation warning, HOA action pending," followed by a detailed list of alleged crimes: trespassing, unauthorized use of amenities, and suspicious loitering behavior. At the bottom, in bold red letters, it stated, "Your behavior has been reported to the Maple Ridge Estates Homeowners Association." And right beneath that, signed with almost presidential pride, Karen N., Acting Compliance Coordinator. Maya stared at the letter, then at her quiet, HOA-free Oakwood Place neighborhood, then back at the letter. She didn't even live in Maple Ridge. She wasn't under any HOA. Her street wasn't even connected to the development by sidewalk. She tore the letter off, marched back inside, and immediately texted Lisa, "Tell your cousin Karen's off her meds." She zip-tied a laminated threat to my mailbox. Lisa responded with a voice note that was mostly just uncontrollable laughter. "You've officially been targeted," she said between giggles. "Welcome to the war." That afternoon, Maya noticed something even weirder: a beige Prius parked just across from her driveway, engine off, tinted windows up. She squinted. A pair of enormous sunglasses peeked over the dashboard. Karen. The clipboard was visible on her lap like a weapon. Maya waved cheerfully. Karen ducked. This was absurd. Her crime: floating in water during a heatwave. Her punishment: suburban surveillance from a woman whose greatest joy was enforcing bylaws like it was a competitive sport. Later that day, Maya printed a bright yellow sign and planted it in her front lawn with a metal stake, right where Karen would have the clearest view: "Not your HOA. Not your problem." Underneath it, she added a little arrow pointing at herself with, "Local resident. Certified unbothered." Maya figured that was the end of it: message sent, drama dismissed. But Karen wasn't the kind to back down. The next morning, Maya found a second laminated paper, this time tucked into the windshield wipers of her car. A flyer titled, "How to Identify an HOA Violator, What to Look for in Your Community." It listed traits like non-matching flip-flops, unfamiliar vehicles, and individuals who appear confident but do not belong. Maya couldn't help but laugh. She wasn't sure if she was insulted or impressed. She took the flyer inside, scanned it, and uploaded it to her Instagram story with the caption, "Ladies and gentlemen, I present Exhibit K for Karen." The messages came pouring in. Apparently, Karen wasn't just infamous in Maple Ridge, her antics were known in neighboring blocks too. As Maya sat on her porch sipping an iced coffee, she began to realize something: this wasn't just neighborhood pettiness anymore. This was personal, and she was definitely going to clap back, with a little help from the internet. By the end of the week, Maya's quiet life in Oakwood Place had turned into a bizarre version of a reality show, one she hadn't auditioned for but was quickly learning to dominate. Karen's campaign of clipboard-fueled intimidation had not only continued, but leveled up. Maya caught her on video pacing in front of her yard at 6:45 a.m., pretending to pick up imaginary litter while sneaking glances through Maya's blinds. That same afternoon, a brand new notice appeared on her doorstep, again laminated, again zip-tied, this time alleging continued noncompliance and pool misconduct of a recurring nature. Maya hadn't even seen a pool since the infamous splash. That's when she decided if Karen wanted a spectacle, she'd get one. Using her phone, Maya started documenting Karen's antics and uploading short clips to TikTok under the title, "Karen Watch, Suburban Edition." The first video, featuring Karen crouching behind a hydrangea bush with binoculars, racked up 14,000 views in 2 hours. Maya narrated in a fake British accent, "Here we observe the wild clipboard Karen in her natural habitat. Note the aggressive posture, the scent of entitlement, and the twitch of the laminated fang." The comments section exploded. People wanted more. "Day 2 of Walk Karen or we riot." One user wrote. Another suggested Maya start selling t-shirts. Encouraged by the attention and low-key infuriated that this woman had tried to ruin her week, Maya leaned in. She added dramatic music, overlaid graphics, and even created a character for Karen, Commander Compliance, complete with a supervillain voice filter. Karen, meanwhile, remained unaware of her growing internet fame. She continued her patrols, documenting violations, like Maya's mailbox being slightly ajar and her recycling bin being visible from the curb. Maya, in turn, turned every encounter into content, filming discreetly from behind her curtains or using the zoom feature on her phone to catch Karen jotting furious notes on her clipboard like she was collecting evidence for an FBI sting. At one point, Karen slipped a flyer under Maya's doormat titled, "Neighborhood Safety Begins with Obedience." Maya framed it, but the tipping point came when Karen created a Facebook page called Maple Ridge Safety Watch, an unofficial, unsanctioned group where she posted grainy, over-zoomed photos of Maya with captions like, "Suspicious female seen loitering near shrubs." Maya found the page within minutes and responded by sharing screenshots on her TikTok, paired with circus music. When surveillance goes seasonal, she captioned it, adding a clown emoji for good measure. The post hit 100K views. Local news outlets began asking questions. Lisa's cousin messaged Maya, "Girl, the HOA board just met. Karen was never even elected to anything." Maya laughed so hard she nearly dropped her phone. "So she's a self-appointed rule queen," she replied. "That's actually terrifying." Still, Maya knew Karen wouldn't back off without one final act of suburban theater. And she was ready. Because if Karen wanted drama, Maya had content, and a whole audience, waiting to see what happened next. It all came crashing down on a Monday morning, the kind where the sun was too bright, and the air felt like static, fitting, Maya thought, for the grand finale of Karen's delusion-fueled HOA reign. It started with an email from a man named Tom Fletcher, a balding, polite-sounding fellow who introduced himself as the actual president of the real Maple Ridge Estates HOA. His message was short but golden: "We have been made aware of Ms. N's actions. Please accept our sincerest apologies. She is not affiliated with the HOA board in any capacity. She has never been elected, appointed, or approved for compliance enforcement of any kind." Maya nearly spit out her coffee. All this time, the clipboard, the laminated flyers, the stalking, the accusations, Karen had been operating entirely on delusion and self-importance. No official role, no board backing, nothing but a middle-aged sense of purpose and an addiction to zip ties. Maya replied with a meme of Kermit sipping tea and the words, "When your reign ends in a neighborhood coup." She posted the email on TikTok, with Tom's permission, and titled the video, "Karen Has Fallen, a Suburban Tale." It reached 500,000 views in a day. But Maya wasn't done. With Lisa's help, she organized a tongue-in-cheek, community freedom splash, at the Oakwood public pool. Flyers read, "No clipboard. No problem. Come celebrate HOA free living." Dozens showed up, neighbors, new fans, even a guy who claimed his mom had once been Karen over a plastic flamingo. The pool was packed with floaties, iced drinks, and people taking selfies under the handmade banner, "Not your HOA." Maya wore a crown made of pool noodles and sunglasses twice the size of her face, and people asked to take pictures with her like she was a local celebrity. Meanwhile, Karen was imploding. The viral attention had finally reached her. A local reporter tried to interview her for a segment called Suburbia vs. Sanity, but she slammed the door in their face. Her Facebook page was reported and taken down, and word spread that the actual HOA had formally asked her to cease all compliance activity or face a restraining order. Maya hadn't even considered that a possibility, but it felt like karmic poetry. Days later, Karen's Prius vanished from its usual spot across the street. No more flyers, no more clipboards, just the ordinary quiet hum of the neighborhood returning to its pre-Karen state. One evening, as Maya sipped lemonade on her porch, Lisa flopped down beside her with a grin. "So what now? Mayor of Oakwood, TikTok HOA drama queen." Maya shrugged, laughing. "I think I'm retiring from public service. But if she ever comes back, you'll laminate your own citations." "No," Maya said, raising her glass, "I'll livestream it." And with that, the legend of HOA Karen faded into suburban myth, whispered about in group chats, immortalized in hashtags, and forever remembered as the